We're going to talk about the 3 barriers that I have seen that have stopped firms dead in their tracks from scaling. I know that these 3 have impacted our firm, and 2 in particular have been especially impactful in stopping us, sometimes in one case for years before we're able to break through that. Well, hello and welcome to the J. Sterling Hughes Show, where we share the secrets and the strategies of how we are building a rapidly growing law practice. Over the past 9 years, we have grown from 0 attorneys to 25 and doing over $15 million in revenue. And my purpose here is to document what's working and what's not working in our practice with hopes that you can take that and you can recontextualize that for your practice and shorten your success curve. My name is Jeff Hughes, and I'm your host. And in today's show, we're going to talk about the 3 barriers that I have seen that have stopped firms dead in their tracks from scaling. I know that these 3 have impacted our firm, and 2 in particular have been especially impactful in stopping us, sometimes in one case for years before we're able to break through that. So those 3 barriers are this. These are the 3 biggest ones that I have seen. First, it starts at the top, and that's having ineffective leadership. The second one is poor marketing, poor lead generation, attention getting with clients. And the third one is not having a scalable infrastructure. Now, also our firm over the years, I have seen it reach these points where we kind of stopped in our growth and had a reset. And I've seen this in other firms as well. So these barriers a lot of times tend to show up at these areas or these parts of the timeline of a growth of a firm. So usually that happens right around 2 attorneys going to 3 attorneys and about $1 million to $2 million in revenue. When a firm hits that point, a lot of times they just stop and they don't grow much beyond that because they run into one or more of these barriers. Firms that grow past it are able to work through these barriers until they come up again. And usually the second time this tends to show up is around 7 to 8 lawyers and right around that $2.5 to $3.5 million mark. And the next point where firms tend to hit the wall a little bit around these barriers is when they get to about 20 to 25 lawyers and find that $8 to $10 million mark is where they tend to run into these issues. So that could come obviously with fewer lawyers and more revenue, or more revenue and whatever the combination is, but it tends to happen around those particular points in an evolution of a firm. And I know in our practice, that is definitely when we hit the wall and had to reconfigure the firm and identify one or more of these barriers that we are running into and develop ways to break through those barriers. And if I were to speculate, we're at that $15 million, 25 lawyer part in our growth right now. My guess is we can get to somewhere close to 30 million before we hit another one of these walls and have to break through yet again and reinvent the firm, so to speak. All right, the first barrier that prevents law firms from scaling is ineffective leadership up top. And let me be really careful here. I am not casting stones on lawyers that are exceptional technicians and exceptional lawyers who have not yet developed their leadership capacity. I'm identifying that as a reason why firms do not grow beyond 1, 2, or 3. In our space, in the family law space, the vast majority, I would say 97 to 98% of our competitors are 1 attorney, 2 attorneys, maybe 3 attorney firms. Very few go beyond that. And that's primarily because these lawyers are exceptional people and exceptional lawyers, but they are not good at delegating, training, inspiring, and motivating and leading others in the growth of that firm. So when firms start up, these lawyers have to do everything to get the firm going, and they tend not to grow out of that. The area that they tend to struggle with the most is in this area of delegating, because naturally someone else will not do it as well as them. And this showed up recently in a conversation I had with a local attorney who is an exceptional attorney, has a great practice, 8 attorneys, but they've been at that size for as long as I've known him, which is well over 20 years. And what's interesting is in that conversation, he was really candid with me. He's like, I would love to grow to where you're at, but I am not willing to give up control. I don't want the growth. I'd rather have the control. And that is a trade-off that you have to make. You can either have growth or you can have control. And in our space, the space where our firms are serving individuals, it's extremely fragmented. And that is the standard in our world, where most firms, most leaders of law firms haven't yet developed that ability to delegate in order to grow and to give up control in order to grow. In our firm, the most valuable leaders and lawyers in our firm are those who are able to train others, bring them up, and replace themselves. And that's counterintuitive, because you replace yourself, you lose your job. Not in our practice. You replace yourself, you get elevated, because we want you to keep doing that with other lawyers that are on your team. All right, the second barrier that prevents law firms from scaling is poor marketing. Now, when I talk about marketing, think of in its rawest form is simply getting the attention of potential clients for your practice. And there are a million ways to do that. And frankly, of these three barriers, this is the easiest to break through. And primarily, the reason why it is the easiest to break through is that you can go out and you can buy effective marketing. You can buy good marketing. You don't have to naturally know that yourself. Most practices that are not able to scale, who are caught by this, are not willing to spend the money over the period of time that it requires in order to develop that ability to break through this particular barrier. Or it shows up like this, where they are able to spend the money, but they're not able to handle the influx of new clients because their intake system is poor, or because their sales system is not where it needs to be. So that to them means, well, my marketing must not be effective because I'm not making more money. A lot of the times it's because the intake system is so bad, or because the sales process is so bad. So when I use the term poor marketing, what has to go along with that is a good system to bring those potential clients into the firm, and also to share your story in a way that they feel confident to choose you over all of the options that are out there. So many firms focus on building a referral-based practice, and that is great. Those are the best clients, and you have to pay the least for them. The challenge there is that it takes so long to build a big referral practice, or at least one that scales beyond one or two lawyers. It's just really difficult. It's really time consuming. So if you're going to scale, you got to move beyond just a referral-based practice. Or you want to spend 50 years at it, then you can maybe do that. But for most of us who aren't wired that way, we just don't want to wait that amount of time for that to happen. And also related to this marketing and attention-getting component is firms that are willing to invest in marketing themselves and telling their story. A key factor is sticking with it long enough, because almost all marketing works to some extent or another. And the key is sticking with it and staying with it over time, giving it the time that it requires to get the traction to deliver the results that you're looking for. And in every case, effective marketing starts with getting very clear as to who your ideal client is. Who is this person? Where do they hang out? And finding that information, getting that information, knowing what you're targeting, and then you going and hanging out there either in person, if you want to build a referral practice, or at least in the marketing storytelling way, being present and visible wherever they're hanging out, online or in person or whatever. That's how you build that effective marketing strategy. All right, the third barrier that prevents law firms from scaling is not having a scalable infrastructure. So there are three types of systems in firms that do achieve scale that are efficient to allow that firm to grow. The first has to do with people, having really good people systems. The second has to do with business processes, and the third has to do with the technology systems. So first with people, this was by far the most difficult and the most challenging for our firm over the years, was getting our people systems right. And it started primarily with our lawyers and not having a way to incentivize and compensate for lawyers who are really good at training other lawyers underneath them. We would hire these exceptional lawyers that come in, but because of the way we are compensating them to essentially be one-person firms within our firm. They weren't compensated and incentivized in a way to bring a newbie lawyer along and train her and how to practice our way and how to practice family law. It took us years to get this right, and we're getting closer with a program that we've rolled out called Partner Group Model, which allows basically much larger firms, essentially within our much larger teams within our firm. That has been a way that we have broken through this barrier of that's constrained our growth was having a really good people system around our partner group model. So there are other people systems that have constrained our growth as well. They primarily have to do with our hiring and our onboarding and our ongoing training of our team. So as we've developed these systems over time, they've now given us the capacity to start to really grow. So in summary, they're around people, having a compensation system that incentivizes lawyers to train new lawyers coming in, and doing it in an ongoing long-term way was a key for us to break through the barrier of not having a scalable people system. And also our hiring and our onboarding and our training as well. Those are the things, the main areas around our people systems that we've had to pick up and grow. The second is business processes, and in particular, having a really high quality workflow process for our attorneys and our paralegals to follow. And it's taken us years to develop a process that is tech-enabled to allow our team to grow. But finally, we're at this point now where we have the processes in place that are scalable, that allow our attorneys to do more work in less time and serve our clients in a much better way. And the third area of processes in our tech stack, and it starts with our CRM, our client relations management tool. And lawyers may know this as Clio or Westlaw or Smokeball. There's a whole bunch of them out there. In our particular case, we chose to go with a much more robust system that is more expensive to maintain and to configure. But we felt that we knew we were going to grow. We wanted to scale as a team, and we didn't want our data management to hold us back. So we invested early on Salesforce, and that has given us the capacity to grow much beyond the 25 lawyers where we are today. And so now we have the proper technology systems in place, starting first with our Salesforce program that we've developed, but also with our tech stack around our communication with Slack, our email systems that we use, using Google and all of the tools that are related to that. And we have other tech tools that we've bolted onto that to enable our team to scale beyond where we're at right now. So I hope what I've shared with you about these three barriers enable you to build your practice. And as you approach one or more of these barriers, you're able to identify them quicker and build the right processes and systems to break through them.